Hey, welcome. Thanks for stopping in. I really appreciate you watching my video. My name is Mark Johnson, and I'm here today to deliver another movie review. The movie I'll be reviewing today is Arkansas. It is a 2020 film release, directed by Clark Duke. It is written by Clark Duke, Andrew Boomkron, and based off the novel by John Brandon. Kyle and Swin live by the orders of an Arkansas-based drug kingpin named Frog, whom they'd never met. But when the deal goes horribly wrong, the consequences are deadly. So when we start this film, we are introduced to Kyle, who is played by Liam Hemsworth. And eventually, quickly, he's teamed up with Swin, who is played by Clark Duke. And both these guys are low-level drug dealers in the sense that, they've had some skirmishes with some people in their community, and at a certain point, they went to a life of crime to make the money that they needed. And so each of these people are teamed up, and they work for a man named Bright, who is a park ranger who does the rangering in a park as an undercover of running drugs. And so, being that he's the head of these two guys, he assigns them drug runs to go here and there. And this is the life that they chose, and this is the life that they lead. And so between Kyle and Swin, they just kind of live everyday life until they are sent on a run, and they just kind of go from there. That's how they lead. And they're also park rangers underneath Bright, who is played by John Malkovich. And so as the story kind of progresses from there, we see how these low-level drug dealers lead their lives, and it's pretty uneventful in a sense. At the same time, as the story progresses, we get to the head guy, and the head guy is Frog, who is played by Vince Vaughn. And when it comes to Vince Vaughn's part of the story, or Frog's part of the story, he tells it as if he is telling the story firsthand. So it's like he's telling us his story of how he got involved, or how he got to become the drug kingpin in this southern region of the United States. And eventually, these two stories collide when a drug deal goes bad. One of the people who have been sold drugs, in a sense, comes back at them and takes out Bright. Between Kyle and Swin, they don't know necessarily what happened or who did it. They know the person that, in a sense, came back at them, and they go swiftly and go back at them and take out their side. And at that point, they are now thinking, what did they just do? It's one of those moments in films where the character's like, what did I just do? They don't understand what they just did, but as they start to think about it, they make plans feeling that someone's going to retaliate from them, or maybe it came from higher up. They don't know. They're just kind of really in the dark of what the situation that has been laid in front of them has done. So they lay low. At a certain point, they just got to be prepared for it. And so the story progresses from there. We see ultimately that there's going to be a clash between Frog, which is the head of the chain, and these low-life guys, or these lower-level drug dealers, but they don't know who Frog is. They know what he may do or could do, or who he's connected with, but they don't know what he looks like in person. And so as they go out to find themselves, in a sense, protection, or in a sense, an alibi, they run into him, but they don't know who he is. And so that's kind of how the story progresses and develops. There's a lot of quirkiness in the sense that these characters, again, are kind of just everyday people. And then there's also, again, how Frog tells the story of how he became the kingpin. I feel that's a very strong part of the film, and how it just became one of those things that he marked off on his list of achievements in his life. It's just a very offbeat type film. I understand it's a drug cartel kind of film, but it's done in a different way. It's also takes place in an area we're not familiar with, which I think is a plus for this film, being that it takes part in the South. So for this film, Arkansas, a 2020 film release, directed by Clark Duke and written by Clark Duke and Andrew Boomkrong, based on the novel by John Brandon. I'm giving this film a solid 4. I felt this is a film that just came out of nowhere for me, in the sense that I had not seen any previews to it. It was just kind of one of those films that kind of came down my list and, you know, kind of sounded interesting. It had Vince Vaughn in it, which is one of my favorite actors, and just kind of had a sense of a story that to me would be interesting, so I took it in. I felt that the acting performances were strong, in the sense that for me, Vince Vaughn's performance as Frog in this film was very good. I felt both Liam Hemsworth and Clark Duke, who wrote the film or directed the film, were strong characters. So yeah, that has been my review for Arkansas, a 2022 film release. If you like this review, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to give your own comment about this film or recommend a film that I should watch and review, make sure to leave all of that in the comment box below. And then lastly, if you don't want to miss any of my upcoming content or other reviews, make sure to, and that way you will be notified. So again, that has been my review for Arkansas, a 2020 film release, and I really appreciate you watching my video. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and like we always do at this time, have a blessed day. I will see you on the flip side. Let's go!